Employee leadership skills play a key role in the success of any business. Bringing innovation and new insights to work, being a visionary, and planning for the future are all part of making the business a success if leaders work in sync. And how do you become a successful leader in the diverse world of IT, innovation, and communications? We interviewed 3 Kaspersky managers from different fields across the organization to gather their insights and give feedback on team management, inspiring others, and of course, becoming a leader.
My name is Elizaveta Kalenchuk. I'm responsible for tech scouting in Kaspersky Product Studio, and also I'm responsible for any sort of innovative ecosystem relations. It is very important, to be honest, for tech scouts not only be technically progressive or technically experienced, but to feel and have intuition to find the right project that would match and would, get into a portfolio just right.
I have been working for 10 years in consulting, and I often feel, being a communication manager, that this is a big advantage, because I often feel that listening and asking questions is the basis for my work to develop strategies and to actually make decisions.
When you're becoming a leader or manager, you will have less time to make something with your own hands, to code, to analyze malware, or doing technical work. But you have to learn a lot of stuff about how to communicate with people, how to understand people properly, because there are so many cases when people say things that they do not mean actually, or they are shy to tell you something, and you have to try to catch those moments. The most challenging tasks are always connected with, legacy code that is still usable and still effective, but not in modern stack of technologies, and you have to improve it, update it. Code it's not just figures and letters and strings, is people behind it, and it's always a really hard task to make people behind this code understand that you have to develop it further. Before I joined Great, I was working with parental control team, and we were making such educational project about making parents, teachers, and children aware about kids' cybersecurity.
Do you think your parents understand the internet?
Even though it is important to keep them in the loop, it is also so easy to be untruthful about what you're doing.
It was a topic that no one was thinking about, pretty much. But already after a year of a lot of evangelists' work, a lot of presentations, talking with all of those people, teachers, parents, even some governmental people, we started seeing that people started talking about this topic on each level. And for now, it's one of the hottest topics in security.
So the first one is a campaign, a B2B campaign that we've specifically designed for the healthcare sector. And what I loved about this campaign was that it was such a close collaboration between so many departments. It was my communications department, social media was involved, digital sales, the sales managers in general, the general manager, and the marketing team. And we set up a whole package that helped the healthcare sector to understand the threat landscape, and also to make them design their strategy as to how they could obtain sustainable cybersecurity for their business. And the second project that I'm really proud of, and that's kind of the project that really my heart beats for, is our anti-stalkerware initiative. Kaspersky has been kicking off this initiative already at the end of 2019, and it is about spyware that can be installed unknowingly to the smartphone of a person, and that software then spies on that person. And we help together with help organizations, NGOs, but also other industry players from the cybersecurity area to make people aware of this topic, to teach them how they can get rid of that spyware from their phone and how they can also prevent from having a possible partner or another person that is close to them installing spyware on their phone.
Try not to be nice to everyone, it's not your job. So that's the mistake, the hard mistake I've learned. And that doesn't bring you good result whatsoever, and it doesn't bring you even good relationships with the team.
Once I mistook the silence of the journalist as in all is okay. I received that request, I answered it, and I didn't get a feedback from the journalist. And although my gut feeling told me that silence is somehow dodgy, I decided to not get on the journalist's nerves and ask him about his feedback, his opinion. And that was a mistake, as it turned out several weeks later, as the coverage was negative and the negative coverage spread. So what I also learned from this mistake is then being given the opportunity to remediate on that, to learn from that and to do better next time. I tell myself as a kind of mantra, I did my best today and that's enough. And that's a very hard task to do.
It's always about trying to make a person believe that you never is an enemy, you always want to help. And you actually, it's not about making person believe, it's about making yourself believe that you just try to help. If you have something like bad to tell, only after you say some good thing is, only then you start talking about bad things.
If only I knew how to give it right. But in general, you need to exclude any emotions. That's the key. Your job is to bring results. Keeping that in mind is also very important when you are giving a feedback. You are giving a feedback not to a person, you're giving a feedback to a function, basically.
Equally important than giving feedback is creating an atmosphere as a manager to receive feedback from who is working with you and who is maybe also working in your team or in other departments in other areas.
Actually, mostly you ask for help from your peers. I mean, not going outside the company, you ask for help from people inside your company. So it's like the most common place where you ask for help is, the desk next to yours.
On the market, there are several very nice and supportive communities for tech scouts and for, people who work in innovations.
I like to go diving whenever it is possible, in tropical waters though. But diving is also a challenge for me. When I go diving, I push the boundaries and I get out of my comfort zone as I'm not the typical water animal. And at the same time, diving also calms my mind as I need to focus on what I'm actually doing to be safe underwater, but also to keep a focus on the animal and the plants that I see underwater in this completely different world. And this is also another point. It kind of teaches me to be humble, because when I'm underwater, I am in a completely different world. And while I'm feeling okay, I still feel underwater that I'm just a guest of this world.
I'm the kind of person who always, has something to do, and I'm playing board games, including the one that I have to paint miniatures for. I'm skating, rollerblading, snowboarding, so there is quite a lot of stuff I'm doing. And I have 3 kids, which is a big hobby for itself. but they also do a lot of sports, and I always have to support them, always help them doing something. If we started with sports, it's always, you have to be a real leader, because you have to to make yourself go and start doing it, not just laying on the sofa. If we're talking about board games, it's always a good training for brains. Even from time to time you start thinking about new product or a new prototype, and you start thinking about it as about game design kind of thing.